Welcome to Immigration Uncovered, the DocketWise video podcast, where we dive deep into the dynamic world of immigration law with the latest developments, practice management strategies, and the transformative impact of legal technology. I'm James Pittman, and today my guest is Christopher Bagnato. Christopher is a founding partner of Jensen Bagnato, attorneys at law located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We're going to talk today about the secrets of building a successful law practice in the Latino community. So Chris, welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to this.
Absolutely. So Chris, you have an interesting story that kind of leads to why your whole law practice is focused in the population. Let's just delve a little bit into your background. You were actually born in Colombia, and then you grew up here in the United States. Talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I was born in Medellin, Colombia. I was an orphan there. I was at an orphanage there for around a year. Then I was adopted by an American family with an Italian last name, since that's why my last name is Bagnato. I had a different name in Colombia. Juan David Moreno was my name there. Other than that, there's really no other information on me. I did try to locate relatives. And so I found distant cousins and everything through family tree DNA or DNA type of things like that you can do like 23andMe. But, nothing came about it. I did visit the orphanage 2 times. First time was in 2010 with a friend of mine, one of my best friends who went to high school with me. And then I just recently went 2 years ago with my son and wife. So that was a really memorable experience for everyone. And it's right in Medellin. And, so that was the beginning of, me starting to like really know, what was happening with my life when I came over and I lived in the United States, and I understood Spanish, I guess, as a baby. And then I came here and I forgot it. And then I had to relearn it, starting with just school, middle school, and then high school. And then high school is when I got really good at Spanish. I studied abroad in Spain, and my Spanish teacher was amazing. And she said, I decided to take like 2 or 3 Spanish courses in high school just to get better at it, and AP Spanish. And then I decided to major in Spanish education at Westchester University. Then I decided I didn't want to be a teacher so much, although I did the full circle eventually, but I didn't want to teach like high school or middle school kids. I wanted to do something else, something within the Latino community. So I always knew I wanted to give back and really help out using my Spanish to help out the Latino community. And I thought, what could be the best way to do that? I should go to law school. And so I applied to law school, and I went to a law school in Indianapolis for 2 years. Then I came back for my final year of law school because I always wanted to come back to Philadelphia for Villanova Law, and I was there for a year. And then I did another year at Temple Law for trial advocacy because I wanted to be in court. I wanted to be a litigator and help people. And then so I got that degree in LLM and trial advocacy. And then I decided years later, I'm in my 2nd or 3rd year, where now I'm an adjunct law professor at Villanova, and I teach upper level students who are bilingual. It's Spanish for Lawyers course. So they're teaching them basically how to represent Spanish speaking clients and in the different areas of law, which we do. We do a lot of different areas of law.
So that's pretty amazing, really, for you. You managed to express like the organic connection in your choice of profession, and you've had this sort of dream of becoming a lawyer and working in the way that you're working. You managed to achieve that. So let's focus a little bit on the Latino community and your client base. What percentage of your practice nowadays do you think the Spanish-speaking population?
Wow. We're definitely 75%. I definitely have a lot more Spanish-speaking clients than non-Spanish-speaking clients. We've expanded. We speak Portuguese as well. So I speak some Portuguese because there's a decent-sized Brazilian community. So now we're starting to, get more engulfed into the Brazilian community to bring them out and have us help represent them as well. But then obviously the basis of the South American countries, Mexico, as well, is the majority of our clientele.
And to what extent do you find that the immigration cases and the non-immigration cases that you do, like family law or criminal defense, complement each other? In other words, do you get a lot of non-immigration referrals from the immigration clients and vice versa?
Yes, we do. Absolutely. Immigration and family law go together. And there's certain areas of aspects of it. There's, in the immigration and criminal absolutely go together as well. Because a lot of parts, if you're in removal defense, then a lot of it is similar. You're doing a bond motion to try to get the person out. So it really does match. And then if the person has a criminal conviction, that could affect how their immigration case proceeds. So, you might have to go to criminal court and reopen the case. Same with family law. Family law, well, that's immigration as well. If you think of it, you're trying to file for an aunt or uncle or a parent, not an aunt or uncle, but a parent or a wife or a spouse, and you want them to come over. So that's family. And also there's special immigrant juvenile status, where the first step is that for a minor child who crosses the border, you need to get a child custody order from someone. So, you go in family court to get the custody order, then you file with USCIS. So there's definitely a merger between the areas of law. And what I've realized that these people need holistic attorneys, not just for immigration only or criminal or family. Things come up and they want to know that they can count on someone. So they'll reach out to me for anything, whether it's personal injury, a regular civil contract, they're having problems trying to collect on a debt, things of that nature. Anything comes up and we try to help out as much as we can.
Well, you obviously get a lot of word of mouth referrals because by this point your reputation is pretty large. But in terms of advertising, if someone's trying to build a Spanish dominant base, what do you think some of the effective marketing strategies are for reaching the Latino population? And feel free to tailor, what your comments to the Philadelphia area or whatever you think generalized.
Yeah. If you're just starting out, obviously word of mouth is huge, but you also want to get involved in the communities, visiting churches, finding Spanish-speaking churches, speaking to the churches, passing out your information. Because if you're at a church, you're going to have hopefully at least 30 to 50 people at that church, Spanish-speaking churches. And that's where I got when I first started, the bulk of my clients came from a Spanish-speaking church in Northeast Philadelphia. So then I would expand through there, through other churches. And then, of course, you can start spending money where you would advertise in the Hispanic Yellow Pages or HispanicLawyersNetwork.com. There's another website. And then, there's other, abogados.com. So you can spend money doing that. Plus, you can hire someone to do SEO for you or pay per click. And, you start jumping down that road. And that works as well. So if you do like a pay per click, saying, and someone goes online and they Google, in Spanish, like, attorney needed who speaks Spanish, and they do that a lot. I need a divorce attorney who speaks Spanish. My name will hopefully pop up. So that's how you really get out for online advertising as well.
Hispanic Yellow Pages sounds very last century. Is that literally a print public?
Yeah, they have a print publication. They do, and they send it out, and a lot of the households get it. But they also have an online website.
Do you think that most of your business is being found online nowadays? Apart from the word of mouth referrals that we mentioned.
Yeah, it's absolutely online. Absolutely. I ask them as soon as they come in here, how'd you find me? And they almost always say, I went online. I went on Google and I typed in I needed a divorce attorney in Spanish, and your name came up. So that's how they find me, because they try to look for Spanish-speaking attorneys.
So when you're representing the Spanish-speaking clients, what steps do you take to ensure that that's understanding their rights are, understanding the representation? Do you put your retainer agreements in Spanish or what work?
Yes, we have retainer agreements in Spanish and English that we can provide to them. We also, all my staff, whether they speak Spanish, they know how to use Spanish translations, Google Translate or something. So the majority of the time, even my legal secretary, she'll have the capability to input information, and she'll send letters in Spanish and English. I tell her to do it both, because sometimes they can read what we're trying to say, plus the translation, and try to really make sure, because a lot of them do have different levels of English. But I want to make sure they're all comfortable. So I do put as much in Spanish as I can. And if they always ask for or request more, I will as well.
Have you found that the clients from the Latin American countries have any misconceptions about sort of the legal system, and how do you go about educating?
Yeah, absolutely. They don't know what they don't know. That's the biggest thing. They come from a different country. It's completely different in their countries. So you kind of have to educate them, because they don't know what's going to happen to them, whether it's an immigration, and they're very fearful with immigration, obviously, or if it's criminal or even family, because they're afraid that in family court that someone's going to call immigration on them or something if they don't have a status, so they have to be comforted a lot more. And what I do is I provide my cell phone to them a lot of times, saying, just text me, call me, any issues, I'll let you know, or you let me know, and I will explain things to you. And that's what comforts them. So
you've been teaching Spanish for lawyers at Villanova. Are you still doing that, by the way?
Yes, I am. Yes, I do it mainly in the fall semester.
Gotcha. Are the students, do you find a lot of the law students primarily interested in immigration, or is it just across the board?
I do think the majority of the kids that I've had in my classes, the largest class I had was like 15 students, 15 to 20 students, and the majority was interested in immigration. But the rest of them are all mix. Like, maybe you'll have 5 people for immigration. So maybe what is that, 20-25% specifically for immigration. And everyone else is like, I want to be in civil, personal injury, criminal, or what have you. And they're all have some obviously bilingualism to them. They know enough Spanish to take the course because I teach it all in Spanish, and they read case books and cases in Spanish because I get them from Puerto Rico, a couple of real cases in Spanish. And, and obviously I treat it like real life. We do role playing as this is your client, this is su cliente, how are you going to represent them, things like that. So they can understand how to represent Spanish speaking clients and what issues can come up. They come from all different walks of life. And some of my students have speak 3 or 4 different languages. So I was impressed by the students that I even had.
Let's dig a little bit into the cultural issues. So, into cultural competence, do you see any differences in how the non Latino population deals with you as their lawyer versus, behavior expectations that you would find with the United States? Do they bring different expectations to certain things work or better or worse?
One thing I really do like culturally is that when my Latin American clients, they'll call me doctor. So that's the one thing that, we don't have here in the United States. Even though we have a doctorate of jurisprudence, they don't call the attorneys here doctors. But in South America, especially, they call you doctor. So they give a little bit more respect to you sometimes, I feel, the clients. They still absolutely, just like any clients, they can contact you a lot, be a little needy if they have concerns. But, overall, I find them to be a lot more respectful than a lot of my non-Latino clients.
Well, Chris, if you go around here calling yourself doctor, I think people are going to start asking what medications you're dispensing. So.
Exactly. They think I'm a medical. That's all that we think of when we see doctors in the United States. But other countries, it's attorneys and
how about the issue of the notarios? There are notarios in Latin America who actually are professionals who do certain legal acts, like they register land deeds and things of that nature. But here, the concept of notary in the United States really just basically stamping documents, putting a seal on documents for official usage. So there's confusion, I think, with that term. And do you find a tendency, how bad is the tendency to rely on non-attorneys for immigration legal advice? Do you find the notarial problem, which is really bedeviled immigration lawyers, does that come up much?
Yes, absolutely. It's come up a lot. I've had a lot of clients or prospective client meetings where things got messed up because they went to a notario before and not an attorney. And in their country, like you said, their notarios there are almost like pseudo attorneys, whereas here, notaries are literally just going and they're putting a stamp. And then, my legal secretary is a notary as well, but they see it as a higher level, close to an attorney. And then they see the discount as well. And they're like, well, why not use them? And then they learn the hard way, unfortunately, when something gets denied or messed up. And then they come to me and then I say, you should have never went to this person. This is a notary. And this is the scam of what these notaries are doing. And I think that they're, unfortunately, the majority of the time, other immigrants coming over here scamming their own people, because they say, well, I can be a notary, and they see how easy it is to get out there and I'll sell it for cheaper than legal fees costs, but they don't know it right. And then things get messed up a lot more. So it is still a major problem in immigration, especially more than any other area of law.
Well, your practice is, in fact, a general practice law firm, and you're doing several areas: family law, immigration, you do some civil litigation too. What are the challenges of managing a practice like that? I mean, do you have departments, or which of the areas are you personally involved in, and what are some of the challenges with, practicing in multiple areas?
It's ongoing learning. That can be the biggest issue because we'll take on a lot of different cases and so it's ongoing learning of what we can do, especially if it's, I guess, what I do personally. I do a lot of family law in court. Immigration, as you know, is a lot of it is paperwork, a lot of filling out the forms, federal forms, unless you do removal hearings, right? So I have a full-time immigration paralegal, and I also have a full-time associate who just runs my immigration department as well. So she runs the immigration department. She goes to hearings, and I, as the supervisor, I cover when she's double booked, and I review documentation to make sure, and she reviews also that make sure that everything's good when we send it to USCIS. I'm usually the first person that sees the prospective client and welcomes them to the law firm, and then the work gets divvied out to the staff, delegated to the staff to actually, collect documents, things like that. They're here for my paralegal. They'll, say these are the documents we need. This is where we're at, and then Kimberly, my associate, she will actually, review everything as well. And if it has to go to court, she'll go, or I will go, and then that's how we divvy it up. And in family law, I mean, I do it with my partner, and we do. In family law, it's a lot of court hearings, the most court hearings. So I do attend a lot of those hearings. Same with criminal and civil litigation as well. Civil's a little bit less. Court hearings, more paperwork and pleadings again, but a lot of negotiating. So it's a mix.
And how much does the crimmigration issues come up? I mean, I know you do removal hearings, or
Yes, we are. We're still doing removal hearings. I haven't had one of those cases in a couple of years where we've needed to file a post-conviction relief act petition under Batson v. Kentucky to try to reopen a criminal case. But yeah, it does come up. It does come up if they're trying to remove someone who's got a criminal conviction and it's recent enough that they think that they can try to reopen it. And we've done it a few times. Other than that, the majority of them that we get, it was so long ago, the conviction, so then we're kind of just litigating it in immigration court to see if it fits, the felony statute of an aggravated felony or something.
Right. I mean, even if you're not trying to reopen a conviction, nevertheless, you still need to understand immigration consequences, revising your criminal plan. It's about a plea that they might take, or whether to go to trial, or how to attack the charges. Any conviction on any charge, depending on what it is, it's going to have different immigration consequences. And, if you're practicing both of those areas, you have to obviously, as what you do now, immigration consequences of all of those.
Yeah, we have to do with all our criminal clients. And since the majority of my criminal clients are immigrants, I have to strictly advise them as well and let them know specifically, hey, with this conviction, you're at risk of being put in removal proceedings. So you have to take that in consideration of whether you're going to continue fighting this case or accept a plea. So yes, it is something that comes up.
Let's talk about the technology stack in the firm. So, how automated are you at this point, and what office technologies, what platforms are you for your practice?
We're pretty automated in terms that we have QuickBooks. We organize all of the files. We have used the form filling software. One of them was DocketWise we use. That's the most automated we do with the staff. My paralegal, she fills out the forms and everything, and we'll use the program. Other than that, I think those are the main things that we use in terms of technology, the QuickBooks. Then we have a G drive with all the immigration files. Everything is scanned in the computers, all of the documents. Plus, we still are kind of old school that we still have a hard file, because I just like to be able to see the hard file and see what's in there.
Do you use a separate case management platform like MyCase, or a different general practice management software?
No, as of right now, no.
Chris, you were recognized several years ago as a nationally ranked top attorney under age 40, and I think a lot of that was due to your work in family law. But to what do you attribute your success in that area? I mean, what goes into making a really good family law attorney, especially for the Spanish-speaking client base?
I think it's just not giving up in terms when you're advocating for your clients. And then, you can't win all cases all the time as well, but as long as you advocate strongly and you are prepared and you do research and you do the best that you can to represent your clients, the majority of the time, they're pleased that you put the best effort forth in the case. Then they advise other people, and the biggest compliment is to refer another client to us. So I think that through word of mouth, and then just with the reputation as you grow, that I've been known to represent a majority of the Spanish-speaking clients. Philadelphia courts know me very well. All of the translators know me as well, because they know if I'm coming in there, majority of the time, I'm going to need a translator for my Spanish-speaking clients. And all the judges know me. And the judges I've had judges actually appoint me clients because they'd asked me to take a case pro bono because it was just complicated and they didn't know English and they wanted to find an attorney to help them. So I haven't said no to a judge yet. So I want to stay in their good graces. So I said, sure, I will take on these cases if you'd like me to.
Do you see yourself maybe trying to get on the judiciary at some point?
Yes, I think that's a very strong possibility. I do. Maybe in 15 years or so, see how this goes. I don't want to leave what I'm doing on this aspect, because right here is where I'm really helping people personally. But I do see the other end of it. If I'm a judge, then I can help them by making decisions for them. I live in Delaware County, so I'd most likely be a Delaware County judge unless I move to Philadelphia. But that's another thing I'd have to balance because I like Philadelphia courts a lot more. But I ran for magistrate judge in 2017, which is the equivalent of a small claims judge in Delaware County, just to get an experience and get in with my political party and, network. And that was a great experience. So in maybe 15 years or so, if I feel the need to, I might run again.
That's great. And Chris, what would be your suggestions to, let's say, non-Latino lawyers for improving their cultural competence when they're dealing with the Spanish-speaking client population? Like, suppose you had someone who went through your Spanish for lawyers and they studied Spanish and they want to be able to work with this population and make this a big part of their practice. What would you suggest for them in terms of achieving cultural competence and being effective with these clients?
Well, absolutely. Number one, learn the language as best you can and use the language as much as you can and meet as many Spanish-speaking people as you can. And if you want to get into law and you join a general practice firm or you start doing it yourself, you're going to start learning the cultural aspects as you're starting to represent these people. My associate's been with me since 2016 or 2017, and she is Caucasian, went to Villanova Law, was a Spanish major. She has no Latino background whatsoever. She's married to another American non-Latino, and she's been able to be a top immigration attorney, and she did family before, but she told me, she says, I mainly want to do immigration. So I said, all right, don't worry, I'll do more family. So you handle just that department because we're starting to get larger and more cases. So, and I brought her, and then I got her a paralegal full time to help out. So that's what you should do. You should really just dive right in there and be exposed to the culture as much as you can. I'm blessed that I married a Latina also, so I'm exposed to Ecuadorian culture. So, and my in-laws speak only mainly Spanish. So I've been blessed in that nature that I kind of jumped in. I got best of both worlds, right? So, that's basically what you want to do. And you want to sympathize with the culture and everything as much as you can.
And you actually went back and became a dual citizen of Colombia because you obviously have the right to do that since you were born there. But there was a process that you had to go through to get it recognized.
Yes, absolutely. I went to the Colombian consulate in Newark, New Jersey, and I brought all my adoption papers and my birth certificates that they found that I had from Colombia. And then they found me, and then they said, all right, well, we found you. And then I had to get what's known as a cédula, which is the form of their governmental ID they use. And I showed them my old passport. And, I get to renew my passport and everything. I still have some work to do over there, though. When I get there again, if I actually have time, is because I have a separate name over there than I have here in the United States. Because when they did my paperwork when I was a baby, whoever did it, they kind of did like a mix. So in Colombia, my name is David Bagnato. They did it like that. So they took instead of they dropped one, they kept the last name as Bagnato, and then they added my mother's maiden name, just like you do in Latino culture. So I have that name. It's a little different, but David's the name of my son. So I that's how I brought my son into it and named him that. But I did all the paperwork. And right now, actually, I'm giving homage or honor to my adopted family because my adopted family is majority Italian. And my father said like, hey, this is your great-great-grandfather from Italy. And I got his birth certificate in Italian. So then what I did was I found an immigration attorney who specializes with Italian citizenship. So now we're looking to get Italian citizenship also. So I'm going to have like a trifecta hopefully soon, eventually.
The EU passport can be a very handy thing to have, Chris.
That's what I'm doing. I'm like, well, because it's not just in Italy. I can travel all over EU, the European Union.
And you've been a legal analyst on Mundo, which is, I think that's a regional Spanish-speaking channel. That's where their local affiliate is NBC 10. But what's it like working with the Spanish language media? Do those opportunities, have they come your way recently? And do you mostly discuss immigration, or do they call you for other legal topics as well?
No, they've been great. They seeked me out. It was great. They found me. They called me up. They were looking for a Spanish-speaking attorney to comment on things that were happening. I remember I did one when Bill Cosby was criminally charged a few years ago. I did multiple videos for that. I did the immigration one. I did another one. Mostly it was for criminal cases, I think. And I did another one on, I guess, the children's sex thing in the news. So, it was a good experience. And I got to know the reporters. And, then they know that I'm always available if they want to call me up.
And you've been a board member at the Hispanic Bar Association. So tell us about the activities of the Hispanic Bar Association, and what do you think are the importance of minority associations like that in the
No, I absolutely do think it's very important. It's all great. It's incredible networking. I'm still a board member. I still go to meetings, monthly meetings. That's how I actually found the job to be a adjunct law professor at Villanova. Someone posted, who's another Spanish speaking attorney, Spanish Latina attorney, and she went to Villanova and she sent a mass email out to everyone saying, hey, the Villanova's looking for an adjunct law professor to teach a course called Spanish for Lawyers if anyone's interested in building the course. So I said, oh, yeah, let me get some information. So, that was networking. Plus, I've gotten law clerks from recommendations by people. There's job postings that are posted all the time. So if you're going to be an attorney and you're Hispanic or Spanish speaking, even, I think that you should join the Hispanic Bar Association. Plus, they have meet and greets, and you can hang out with your peers and really get to know everyone and refer each other cases as well. Because I am known as representing a lot of Spanish speaking clients in the family criminal immigration realm, but there's other attorneys that do like employment discrimination cases or civil rights cases or workers' comp cases. So, if they need it, I can communicate with those attorneys and refer them the case if needed. So it's good networking.
And Chris, how do you stay up to date on immigration policy and regulations? I mean, immigration is one of those areas where it's very dependent on policy in effect at any given time, and different presidents are going to have different policies, different executive orders. How do you like to stay up to date?
Yeah. So you got to always, you always want to keep reading on the news, keeping up to date on the news, get on immigration listservs. All right. There's a lot of listservs out there, whether it's through the Philadelphia Bar Association or any other bar association. You can join listservs. I'm on multiple listservs. Like I'm on a listserv for Third Circuit Court of Appeals, which is the Immigration Court of Appeals cases. I'm in regular immigration listservs. The Philadelphia Association of Immigration Attorneys that has a listserv. So there's multiple immigration listservs that you can join to educate yourself, because that'll just put you in touch with all fellow immigration attorneys. And what we do there is talk about updates and laws, how things are going with ICE or the judges. And that's the best way to stay educated and up to date on stuff.
And what's your feeling? Have you gotten any impression with how the clients are feeling this year with the presidential election going on, and we're facing, the chance that Donald Trump, not exactly, let's say, who's rather anti-immigrant. What's your sense of how people are feeling? Do you think people are worried, or do you see people making any changes in their behavior, or people maybe thinking of leaving? I mean, what, or you haven't noticed?
I don't think that they're worried. I mean, yet they're aware of what's going on, and they're hoping that Mr. Trump doesn't go back into office again, because they do remember when he was in office how strict he was for immigration. They obviously would have liked something more done by Joe Biden and the Democrats, but so they're just going to keep a watchful eye on this election and see what happens, and hope that if they're hoping that it's another Democrat or Mr. Biden wins, and if he wins, that he can make the laws a little bit better for them.
And how about yourself? I mean, do you feel as a person, as an attorney who's involved in immigration law and who was born in America, I mean, when you hear some of the rhetoric coming from, the far right side of the spectrum, I mean, how does it make you feel?
It can anger me. I get concerned. Sometimes I get angry. I get annoyed about what they say, but I also try to sympathize, and I always try to listen to what their side is as well. My father always tells me to watch Fox News just to have an idea of what is going on with the other side and what's their concerns. So you can find a way to, alleviate the concerns of someone who mainly is a conservative, and, have conversations on how we can fix it, right? Because both people want to blame each side. And then if you put on Fox News, the number one issue for them is immigration. And they're saying how, now with Biden in office, that all these illegal immigrants are coming over and things like that. And then they exacerbate it, saying that all these immigrants are committing crimes and just going on all this rhetoric and everything. But, the best way to is just be educated and just watch both sides, and, try to, be compassionate on both ends, but also, have my own faith and belief into what I want or what I think should occur.
In your dealings with the courts and the agencies and the prosecutors and so forth, are there any specific initiatives or any suggestions or any necessary changes that you see in the legal system that could better serve diverse communities, specifically the Latino population, but also other diverse communities? Is there anything you've observed where you say, they really should change this, it would just work better?
Can I just say, for the state of Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth specifically, our state does not allow undocumented immigrants to have a driver's license. And it is causing so much pain for these people because they need to be able to drive to go to work. And then they're stuck with the unfortunate thing of either driving and risking driving without a license, tickets. And then it turns into a boiler effect, because if you keep getting driving without a license, after the fourth or so ticket, you're going to get suspended. And then even if you don't even have a license, you're suspended. But then you're still driving because you have to work and provide for a family. And if you get caught, then you're getting driving on a suspended license. And then after 5 or 6 of them, you can get jail time. You get 30 days of jail time. So, and then it just doesn't make sense in terms that if you look at the other states that are right next to us, New Jersey does allow driver's license to undocumented immigrants, and they're being so successful with it. It's not like these immigrants are getting behind the wheel and just crashing cars. If you check that, they're not getting pulled over any more, or more probably less than the majority of other non-immigrants. So that's the biggest gripe that I have right now with this state. And I've been trying to contact local representatives, and before I give a donation to them or support them, I tell them, I really want you to look into this and create a bill. So that's the biggest thing right there. I'm thinking for locally in Pennsylvania, they really need to pass to allow driver's license, because these people are forced to either drive or move to New Jersey, or let's just face it, they might pretend that they moved to New Jersey, so, and it just causes even more problems. So that's one thing that I think that they should really look into.
So in the context of like some of your other practice areas like family law or criminal, do you see much awareness around the immigration issues on the part of, let's say, opposing counsel, on the part of prosecutors? I mean, do you see any awareness around the immigration issues that some of your clients might be facing? Let's say, for example, I've heard of instances where, let's say in a contested divorce or something, one party, let's say your client, might be undocumented, and the other party might try to make that an issue in the child custody or something like that, saying, did that person, have the majority custody or whatever, given that they're undocumented, and the problems that could cause. I mean, have you seen anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely something that comes about all the time, in terms that when you're advocating in child custody cases, for instance, one party might try to bring up the fact that the other side is an illegal immigrant and speculate that they might get deported any time. They just use it as arguments. Most courts have been pretty good about ignoring those arguments. The more rural the location is, the less chance that the court is going to be blinded to those type of arguments, right? I've also noticed recently, with the new changes of district attorneys, that the more liberal district attorneys in liberal cities, that they've actually been more compassionate to immigration issues by hiring prior immigration attorneys to advise the district attorney's office. So they know that when there's a criminal defendant that they want to take into consideration, and whether they want to or not, take into consideration immigration consequences. So Philadelphia has done wonderful in terms that now, especially since I represent a lot of immigrants, I know the district attorney liaison, quite well in Philadelphia. And I contact every single time when I have a case. I contact the person, and the person actually reaches out to me, and we work through the process, and they do very well at trying to be fair. So I always know that I can contact that person when that issue comes up with immigrants. So, and I notice other district attorneys in liberal locations are becoming more knowledgeable about the immigration consequences, because they don't want the cases to come back either, because if you file post-conviction relief act petition, you reopen everything. So they want to make sure they get it right the first time as best they can.
How about the judiciary, like the judges in criminal court? I mean, have you seen them mention anything about immigration consequences, or does that factor in their thinking at all, or they don't touch that issue themselves? They leave it to the parties, the prosecution and the defense?
Well, it definitely depends on the judge. If the judge is a knowledgeable judge and has a prior history of immigration law, or just knowledgeable cultural and understands, these issues with immigrants or sympathetic about it, then yes, that I've seen judges all the time. I've seen them that they've pointed it out. They said, do you understand the immigration consequences? They try to make sure it, and then other judges, they are more old school and they just ignore it. They just say, like, whatever you guys want to bring to the table, put it on the record. That's not a concern for me at this time. So every judge is different. So every courtroom, every city. So it's just a matter of where you're going to go. But I've seen it both sides.
Understood. And Chris, you're actually shifting topic a little bit. You're actually the CFO of the firm that you're a partner at, Jensen and Bagnato. And what are some of your tips in terms of running a practice successfully from a business angle? How to ensure that the firm is profitable and is doing well? I mean, and also, did you have management or finance experience, or how did you get up to speed on that side of the business?
Yeah, I mean, this firm has taught me everything, basically. I was not a management major. I didn't even take business courses in college. I was a Spanish education major. I took mainly like sociology type of reading courses and things of that nature. Don't have an MBA or anything, but I learned probably, because I had to. I took this position. My partner doesn't like looking at numbers, so I said, I'm going to jump in and make sure it. And the first thing I did was hire competent accountants. Okay, so we have an accountant firm, not just one person, but a full accountant firm. Even though they're actually based out of Florida, they're incredible. We do Zoom meetings, and they actually get into all of our accounts, whether it's the credit card accounts or the logins for the banks, and they watch everything, right? And then I have a bookkeeper, and she's been amazing, and she does the front end and collects the payments and helps. And I, as the CFO, I'm the overseer, and I deal with the advertising companies. So throughout the practice of law is a lot. It's a lot easier in a way than running the business, honestly. And I say that a lot. Running this business can be the most stressful part about my job because I have to make enough money to pay my staff, so in cash flow and all that and advertising and, things of that nature. So it's definitely been a learning experience, but I wouldn't give it up, for the world, basically.
And how many attorneys are you up to now at the firm?
We're up to 1, 2, 3 full-time ones, including myself. And then we have multiple other attorneys that we work with, whether it's per diem. We're looking to bring on another attorney per diem or full-time to help cover hearings because we're getting so busy. Or of course we have the referral attorneys as well that we work with. One who does our plaintiff personal injury, because I'll practice mainly civil defense. So, and I represent a lot of Spanish-speaking clients in civil defense as well, because a lot of times they don't have insurance. And if you don't have insurance to cover you and represent you, you got to find your own lawyer. So they hire me, and then I speak Spanish and I can communicate with them. So,
and Chris, looking ahead, what goals do you have for the firm? I mean, what do you want to be your legacy in the legal profession?
I absolutely would like that, to know that what I've been doing for these past years, because I've been practicing for around 15 years now. I can't believe it. But, it's been successful not only in the growth of my firm and success of my firm, but through the future younger attorneys that might work for this firm, and the staff that come and work for this firm, and the clients that they know, hey, there was this law firm that really helped me years ago for a civil case, and they spoke my language and they were compassionate about my cultural aspects, and they helped me with my family law case, divorce or immigration or whatever issue that came up, and I knew that I could count on them. So that's what my legacy I want them to remember. Hopefully they can remember saying, hey, there was a really good attorney that I had, years ago, and hopefully I can find a law firm just like that. Or if that law firm hopefully is still around, even after I'm not.
Well, Chris, it really certainly sounds and seems like you're set for a lot of years of success in the law and having an impact on the law, having an impact on the Spanish-speaking population. So I think you've done a fantastic job of really taking what you truly wanted to do in the law, actualizing that, turning that into reality. And it's really an interesting story, and you're doing amazing work. So, Chris, I really do thank you for joining us on Immigration Uncovered and giving us insight into the secret of having a successful law practice in the Latino community. Thanks very much, Chris Bagnato.
Easy. One more thing. Get a tie. That says Colombia on it right there. Right? The clients love them. Little tie. I do it for all my countries. I got an Argentinian one, too. I got Venezuela, too. And then on the back, you put a little saying in Spanish. Yeah. Soy paisa. Soy paisa, pues.
There's the secret right there. You heard it here.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. It's been an honor. Thank you so much, guys.